Ghostlings, welcome back to my Friday vlog series. I apologize for the absence, Ghostlings. I was trapped in a mirror dimension for many weeks on end with unimaginable horrors and terrible nightmares. But the less said on that, the better. Welcome to this week's Reddit Ghost Stories. Yes, Ghostlings, 2 short stories for your listening pleasure. We'll start with the first one, which is scary, and it's called I Think I Accidentally Summoned a Ghost. You never want to accidentally summon a ghost, Ghostlings. You want to purposely summon a ghost so that I will come to remove the ghost. Anyway, let's begin the story. It's from Traditional Blood, questionable name. I know that the title of this thread is strange, but I have to tell someone what I experienced that day. This happened about 6 weeks ago. Look, it happened. Why are you yelling at me? It happened on a Wednesday, and I was browsing the image board on the deep web called Enchan. I've never heard of this, Ghostlings. Do you know what an Enchan is? And I saw a post on, I won't say it, I saw a post saying that you could enter a spiritual journey, and it taught that you should have a black mirror, which I had but kept in my living room. Ghostlings, what is a black mirror? Another thing I have to Google. And stay up until 2 a.m. and recite some words, which I do not remember. At first I thought it was a joke from LeChan, but I was curious. First mistake. And as I did not believe in the supernatural, I decided to try. Second mistake. Always believe in the supernatural, Ghostlings. So I called a friend of mine to the farm where I live. A farm, Ghostlings! Another creepy location. Mirror, 2 a.m. farm. I followed each step with him. When I finished reciting the words, nothing happened. That's what the ghosts want you to believe. And as it was already late, I let him sleep at my house. Around 5 a.m., I looked at my friend, and I saw his face being eaten by live larvae. And when I blinked my eyes, he was normal. And that night was one of the worst nights. I started hearing people calling my name, figures of my relatives, sounds of doors banging, and I could only sleep well in the afternoon. Ghostlings, ghosts won't leave you alone in the daytime. Ghosts will still torment you. So this story doesn't feel very realistic. And when I woke up, I looked like a zombie from so much sleep. After my friend left, under the dining room table, I found a bunch of worms on top of a dead rat. And later that day, I went back to the channel to ask if anyone else had followed the instructions on that post. But I wasn't the only one. There were others who had worse experiences, and others who saw only lights or heard rope-like noise. And I still have these visions, but they're fading. My friend reposted that his goat herd had been dying or disappearing, and to this day, he and I don't know if it was just coincidence, hallucinations, or a supernatural event. Ghostlings, this feels like a hoax. It is too much like a horror movie for me to believe that this actually happened to someone. You're telling me that you read a random creepy page, then you did the ritual on a farm, and it worked? No, Ghostlings, I don't believe it. What do you think, Ghostlings? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. But let's listen or read the next story, which I think is a lot nicer. It's a cute story, but it's short. It's called Grandmother's Grandfather Clock. Now, Ghostlings, I have desired a grandfather clock for as long as this medium can remember. But my mother has always said, medium, and I said, yes, mother, a grandfather clock is not a very appropriate gift for a 7-year-old. This comes from Half Chino. They say, 10 years ago, my grandmother passed away. 2 years ago, when my grandfather passed, I inherited her grandfather clock that he bought her as an anniversary gift in 1978. Anyone here alive back then? I was. Not a great year. The clock has been stuck on 11:30 p.m. since I brought it into the house. I have never even hooked the pendulum back on. So as I was cleaning earlier in the day, I was thinking of her and said out loud how much I love her and miss her, and to give me a sign. Then I went out and came back home around 11 that night. All was quiet. I made some tea, what kind of tea, and then suddenly hear ticking. I have no other clocks. I go to the hallway, and sure enough, her old grandfather clock is ticking away and kept going and going, and faster than it even should. It went past midnight in just a few minutes. I was in total disbelief. It hadn't made a sound in 2 years. So I thank you, Grandma, and I love you. That's ghost story is so sweet, Ghostlings. Do I believe it's a ghost 100%? 10 years is a long time for a ghost to remain on this mortal coil when they don't have any reason to. So perhaps it is a ghost, perhaps it's just a coincidence. What do you think, Ghostlings? I'd like to believe it is the grandmother. What do you think? See you next week, Ghostlings. And remember, if you're gonna summon a ghost, do it on purpose, and then immediately call this guy.